guys, so this week we're going to be doing a little bit of rolling for the lower leg muscles. So the muscles that come from your knee all the way down to your ankle. So things like your tibialis anterior, your peroneals that come down and wrap around, and then also the two big muscles in the back of your calf, your gastrocnemius and your soleus. So what you're going to need to do this is, if you happen to have a set of these yoga tune-up balls, you can use those. If you don't have something like this, what you're going to do is take two tennis balls inside a tube sock, push them all the way down into the foot, and then tie a knot so that you're creating something that looks just like this. The other thing you'll need is a yoga block, or if you don't have a yoga block, you can just use a stack of books. So you're going to start out with your yoga block the long way, and then you're going to stick your either yoga tune-up balls or your tennis balls in a sock right at the back edge of that block. And you'll want to either wear pants that you can pull up or shorts. I find that it works better to roll directly on your skin. You get a little bit more grip that way. So you're going to set yourself up and you're going to start just below your knee. You're going to kind of sink your knee, or just below your knee, right in between the balls. And then you're just going to start to lean a little bit of weight. And then you're just going to start to roll back and forth. And I find that this works really well when I lean just a little bit of my weight, in this case to my right side, so that I'm really getting the meat of the muscles on the outside edge of my shin bone. And you're going to keep going back and forth. And as you can see, when I come forward, the balls aren't quite reaching all the way down to the front of my ankle. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring the balls back to the beginning of my block and just start maybe halfway along my shin, so that I'm still getting the length of the muscles all the way down to the front of my ankle. Okay, and then once you've gone back and forth a few times, you're going to pause, and let's start kind of towards the top of your knee. And I like to, again, lean a little bit of my weight to the right side, and then you're just going to move your foot around. And so the yoga block or stack of books is important so that this foot can have a little bit of clearance as it starts to move around. And so you can do circles, you can do a little bit of pointing and flexing. And just notice how those muscles feel as you're moving your foot, how they feel as they're pinned underneath the ball. And then you can repeat that process just several times, kind of traveling down your front of your shin. Just a little bit of movement, and you can lean as much weight or as little weight as you want into this leg. And then adjust it. Maybe let's do one more stop kind of closer to the ankle. Just moving that foot around in whatever direction, pointing, flexing, whatever you find that feels really good to you. And then you might finish it off with just a little bit of a roll. Again, back and forth. And if you find a spot that really catches your attention, you can hang out there for a moment. Like that spot just felt really good to me. Good. And then you're going to come off. And one thing that I actually love to do to stretch kind of the front of my ankle is I'll sit onto my heels. And then I'm just going to lean back just a little bit so I can lift that knee of the leg that we were just working on. And you should get a nice little stretch front of your ankle, maybe even a little bit front of your shin, depending on what your legs are like. Good. And then we're going to kind of flip our setup around a little bit. So you're gonna take your block again, and then you're gonna take your little ball setup right on top. And then this time you're gonna put your leg, your calf, like the meat of your calf muscle, right on top of that ball block setup. And you can lay all the way back. I'm not gonna lay back because I wanna be able to see you and talk to you. And so the first thing you're gonna do is just kind of let the weight of your legs settle into the balls. Taking maybe 3, 5, 10 breaths, depending on what your calves are feeling like, where you're at in your day. And then if you want, you can kind of do that same process that we did on the front of our shins, but with your calves. And it'll be a little bit segmented. You'll have to roll kind of the bottom portion of your calves. And then you might adjust a little bit and roll maybe the top portion. And so in this way, we're going with the direction of the muscle fibers, so we're stripping the muscle fibers. Good, and then if you're laying back, or I guess even if you're not, and you want a little bit of extra weight, more intensity, you can cross your other leg on top, and that's going to add some more weight, some more pressure into the balls. And then we're gonna do that same point flex circle deal that we did when we did our shins. So pinning the balls right underneath the meat of your calf muscles, and then adding weight or not, and pointing and flexing your foot. And you might see what it feels like to draw some circles. And you can go in both directions. And then you can repeat that same process. Maybe just roll the balls down a little bit so you're hitting more like the middle of your lower leg, middle of your calf muscles. And up to you if you want to add this second leg or not. And it also might feel different to you, like sitting up propped on your hands, how I am, or versus if you want to lay all the way back. And continuing to breathe, drawing some circles, pointing, flexing. Just noticing how movement of the foot and the ankle can impact how the muscles in the back of your leg feel. And you might make one more stop just a little bit further down towards your heel, starting to get a little bit less muscly, a little bit more sort of tendon, ligament action. Might not feel as intense because there's not really the muscle belly that you experienced up in here, but still kind of nice to just check it out and see what's going on. Okay, and then the last thing you're going to do, and you can do this with the weight of that extra leg or not, you're just going to kind of rock your lower leg side to side. And so the meat of my muscle is still placed in between those two balls, but I'm just kind of shifting my weight of my lower leg side to side. And so now we're going across the fibers of those muscles. And then play around with where it feels right, and you might make several stops, 3, 4, 5 stops, so that you get the whole length of those muscles in the back of your legs. And then just give it a rock side to side. And then one more time, roll it up into that really meaty part of your muscle. and I'll show you one of the calf stretches that I like to do. So I come into kind of this half kneeling stance. I'm sitting on one foot, and then I have the leg that I was just working on in the front. And you can play around with how far or how close this foot is. It will just change the intensity of what's going on. And then I like to just lean forward. And this is also really good for ankle flexibility, mobility. And just kind of lean back and forth. You can lean all the way into it and pause if you want. And so I'm feeling this all along my heel up into the back of my leg. I'm gonna just rock back and forth a couple of times. Good. And then you can repeat that sequence on the other leg. Please do the other leg. This is awesome for anyone to do, but especially helpful if you are an avid hiker, a cyclist, or a runner where it's placing a lot of demand on your feet, on your lower legs. This is a great way to just give them a little bit of attention and make sure that your body stays in good maintenance, good shape. Let us know what you think. Thanks so much.